Hey guys, welcome back to Edimoon Tutorials on Database Management Systems. So in today's lecture, we're going to start our third lesson, and the first topic in our third lesson is relational algebra. So before knowing what relational algebra is, I wanted you guys to know about three instances of three different relations. So here we have three instances. So the first one is S1 instance, which is an instance of the relation sailors. We have another instance of sailors, which is S2. And then we have an instance of reserves, which is R1. So these are the three instances that we are going to we are going to perform different operations as a part of relational algebra throughout this video. So just look at these tables so that you can understand the other examples that we are going to see. So now let's see what relational algebra is. So relational algebra is one of the two formal query languages that are associated with a relational model. You guys know a query language is a language. It's a specialized language used for writing questions that can be asked to a database. So relational algebra is one such query language of the two formal query languages that are available in the relational model. So the queries in the algebra are composed using a collection of operators. And the fundamental property is that every operator which is actually present in the algebra accepts one or two relation instances as arguments, that means as inputs, and it returns another instance as a result. That means the input that we are giving to our relational algebra operator is one or more relations, and the output that we are getting is also a relation instance. So see, here we have two arguments and then we are having an operator, we are getting a result. So this can be an expression, and we call such expressions as algebraic expression. So what is an algebraic expression? It is a complex query that comprises of different operators applied on different set of instances of relations. So we have different types of basic operators in relational algebra. Let's look at each of them with examples so that you can understand them better. So the first basic operator that we have in a relational algebra is selection operator. What does a selection operator do? A selection operator in a relational algebra is used for selecting particular rows of a relation instance. Right. So this is actually this is generally used for manipulating the data in a single relation. The syntax that we use for doing so is attribute followed by the operator followed by a constant. That means here the operator is applied on a constant and the attribute of the relation. You can do the another way also. It can be applied to two attributes: attribute, operand, operator, attribute. So here operator is any relational operator. It can be less than, equal to, less than, greater than, equal to, is equal to, or not equal to. And the attributes of an instance can be referenced either by their position or directly by their field name. And there is an important note to be considered. The schema of the result should be same as the schema of the input. See, it's obvious. మనం ఇస్తున్న ఇన్పుట్ కి స్కీమా ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో మనకు వచ్చే రిజల్టెంట్ స్కీమా కూడా సేమ్ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. వాట్ యు గివ్ ఇస్ వాట్ యు గెట్, రైట్? సో లెట్స్ లుక్ ఎట్ అన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. అండ్ బై ద వే, దిస్ ఇస్ ద ఆపరేటర్ దట్ వి యూస్ ఫర్ రిప్రజెంటింగ్ అ సెలెక్షన్ ఆపరేటర్. సో హియర్ వి వాంట్ ద tuples of sailors whose rating is greater than 8. So this thing here is going to help me. So from the instance S2, I'm selecting the sailors whose rating is greater than 8, and the result that I've got is an instance containing the details where sailors rating is greater than 8. So this completes a selection operator in relational algebra. Let's look at the second basic operation that we have in relational algebra. So the second one is projection. Here, the projection operator allows us to extract the columns from a particular relation. Before, we used selection for selecting the rows. Here we are using projection for selecting the columns, specific columns from a relation. So Basically, a projection operator projects out all the other attributes from the relation and returns the instance with the attributes that we have specified in our projection. So the syntax that we use is a see here the pi here is used for representing a projection. So pi subscripted by attributes. So in our example here, projection operator subscripted by sname and rating of instance s2 is giving me a result which is an instance containing sname and rating of instance s2. Generally s2 instance has 4 fields. Here I am projecting out all the other fields which is SID and age, and I am only printing sname and rating according to my syntax or example. So we combine these two operators, that means selection and projection, if we want a mixed result. Here for instance I want the sname and ratings of all the sailors whose rating is greater than 8. So I am going to combine both of these operators and get my result. So initially I am selecting the sailors whose rating is 8, and then I am projecting only sname and rating from this instance s2. So this is what the output that I get. I am only getting the sailor data whose rating is greater than 8. Right. So this is all about selection and projection. Now let's look at the third set of operators that we have in relation algebra, that is set operations. So the set operations here are similar to the set operations that we have in mathematics. So the different operators we have, like union, we have intersection, we have set difference, and we have cross product. Let's look at each of them to understand them. So the first one is a union. So a union that is applied between two instances R and S returns a relation instance containing all the tuples that occur in either the relation instance R or relation instance S. So they basically going to have the fields that are present in R and also the fields that are present in S. Right. So only the duplicate fields, like the fields which are common, are going to be taken only once. They're not duplicated. So for being able to apply a union operator on any set of instance, we need to follow certain conditions. That is, both the instances should be union compatible. What is union compatible? Yeah, it's a new word. So let's see how can any two relations be union compatible. We have two conditions for any instance to be union compatible. The first one is that they should have same number of fields. The number of fields in that particular instance should be similar, same to the other instance. The second condition we have is that the corresponding fields taken in order from left to right should have same domain. Right. So they should also belong to the same domain. So any instance that follows these two conditions will be a union compatible instance. So yeah, that is how you perform a union operation. And the example here, we are performing a union between S1 instance and S2 instance. So this has all the values we have in S1 and S2 by removing the duplicates that we have. In the example that we have taken initially, we have Rubber and Dusty. These are the two duplicate names. So those two names are only taken once and the remaining result is returned here. So this completes union. Let's look at intersection. So intersection between any two instances R and S returns a relation instance containing all the tuples that occur in both R and S. Basically the common things that we have between R and S are returned here. So R and S should also be union compatible. The same thing. So the schema of the result should be identical to the schema of R here. The resultant schema should be equal to or should be same as the schema of the R. So this is the output for S1 intersection S2, which is basically the common fields that both of them have. So this completes intersection. Now let's look at set difference. So the set difference between any two instances R and S, which is R minus S, returns a relation instance containing all the tuples that occur in R but not in S. They must also be union compatible. See, this is the same operation that we perform in mathematics, like the set difference operation returns the elements that are present in A but not in B, right? So this is the same thing. There is nothing that you don't know in these operators. So here we are performing this operation S1 minus S2. Here the common fields between S1 and S2 are removed and the uncommon fields that are present in A are returned. Here Dustin is the only field that is present in A and it is not present in S2. So let's look at cross product. So this is a crucial operator that we have in algebra. So cross product between the instances R and S, R cross S, returns a relation instance whose schema contains all the fields in R in the same order as they appear in the relation instance R, followed by all the fields in S, the same order they appear in S. So this is generally represented using a cross mark. So this cross product is also known as a Cartesian product. So this is simple as that. See, in our example, we have S1 relation and R1 relation. Here in this S1 cross R1, simply we are going to take every tuple in R1 S1 with every tuple in R1. So you can look at the result that we have got. See, look at this. See, 22, 22, 31, 31 with both of the fields that are present in reserves table. Here I did not complete the entire table. Sorry, I was a bit lazy. But you will get all the tables combined with the tables that are present, tuples that are present in R1. Right. So the field names of the resultant instance will have the field names that are corresponding to the R and S. Basically, these are all the names that the corresponding names of R and S. But here you have to remember one thing: the common fields that are present in both R and S, here they have the same name. See, that is why SID and SID, these both are having same name. This might give us a name conflict, which we are going to see, like how we're going to see how we are going to solve this naming conflict with the next coming operator. So the next operator is renaming. So rename operator, this is the symbol that we use for rename in algebra. So the whole sole purpose of this operator is renaming the fields in the relation instance or the resultant instance. So in the conditions like this, we can rename the fields of the resultant table that we have got, just to avoid the naming conflict that might have arise in some conditions. It doesn't arise all the times, right? So let's look at the syntax that we use. So a renaming operator of the relation of f dash comma e. Here e is an expression containing the operator and the attribute, like here we are going to have S1 into R1, which is our expression, and in this R of f, here in this f we are going to have the new names that we wanted to allocate to the old names. So here relation is the same tuple as E, but the fields renamed as specified, right? That is what we are just naming some of those fields. The entire relation will be same, right? So let's look at the example. So f dash is the list of fields to be renamed, right? So this can be done in two ways. The first way is you can rename the field names by specifying old name, arrow, new name. The second way is specifying the position and then specifying a new name, right? For example, rename of C of first one is SID1 and fifth column, which is a position, is going to be SID2. We have two SIDs now, so now we are renaming them into SID1 and SID2, and our expression is S1 comma S1 cross R1. So let us look at joins. So joins are one of these important operators that we have in relation algebra, and they are generally used for combining the information from two or more tables. So it can be defined as a cross product followed by either the selection or the projection. So since it is a practical operator that we use in relational algebra, there are different variants of that. We have conditional joins, we have equijoins, and then we have natural joins. Now let us look at each of them briefly. The first one is condition join. This is a general version of join that has a join condition on the participating instances. So this is a symbol that we use for representing a join. So generally a join is represented like this, right? So in a conditional join, see, the conditional join between R and S is similar to a cross product between R and S followed by a selection operator with the condition C. Here the C can refer to the attributes of R or the attributes of S. Let's look at the example. Here S1 join R1, where the condition is S1.SID is less than R1.SID. This returns a relation where the SIDs of Saylor table are less than the SIDs of the R1 table. So this is the resultant instance. Let's look at equijoin. So equijoin is a common and a special case of join operator. R join S is when the join condition consists solely of the equalities of the form R dot name 1 is equal to name 2. Simply, instead of condition, we have equal to. If any field is equal to the any other field in the another instance, we call that as a equijoin. It is generally used for removing the redundancies in the tables. Here are example S1 and R1. We are applying equijoin on S1 and R1, where the equi condition is R1.SID is equal to S1.SID. That is the only column where we have, right? So from our relation table and instance table that we have before, see, what are the common columns we have? Of course, the 22 and 58. So these are the tables that we are going to have in our resultant also, right? Now let's look at natural join. It is a special case of join operation between R and S. It's a variant of equijoin in which the equalities are specified on all the fields having the same name in R and S. This is simply the it just refers to all the common names that are in R and S, right? So yeah, this is similar to the normal cross operation. If there are no common things between R and S, this is simply the cross product of R and S, right? So the last operator that we have in relational algebra is division. What is a division? A division operator A by B is defined as set of all x values such that every y value in B there is a tuple xy in A. I know this is a bit confusing, but guys, believe me, it's simple. It's just that we want all the values. Look at this example. Here we have A instance table, which is this, and then we have two other instances B1 and B2. So A by B1 is going to give a resultant whose values are the attributes that are present in A for which are associated with every value in B1. So A by B1 is going to give C. Just pick the attributes from A which are associated with P2, right? S1 is associated with P2, S2 is associated with P2, S3 is associated with P2, S4. So this relation is going to have S1, S2, S3 and S4. A by B2. So in B2 we have P2 and P4. So what are the attributes that are associated with P2? S1 and S4. See. So this is as simple as that. So with this we completed the first topic, and I'll meet you in the next class where we'll be discussing the next topic in our third chapter. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.